Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
I am Brittany Pacheco.
And I'm Amber Churchwell.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here today to discuss the 8th and final movie in the Harry Potter film series of the Wizarding World franchise. That's right, we're here to talk about Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. But before I get Amber and Brittany's thoughts on the movie, I'm going to hit you with some Deathly Hallow Part 2 facts. Are you ready for the facts? Can you handle the
Are you ready?
Yeah. So, okay. The movie was released July 15th, 2011. So a little over, 12 years ago. So not super long time ago, but it is what it is. The box office, 1.3 billion, which makes it the highest grossing film in the Harry Potter series and the Wizarding World overall. It was also the highest grossing film of 2011. And at the time of its release, it was the third highest grossing film of all time. Thanks to the popularity of the MCU, now it currently sits at number 18. But number 3 back in 2011, that's pretty high praise. Right now it's 18. It's just behind Black Panther and right ahead of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. So I thought that was interesting. It was, well, yeah, still up there. It was also the highest grossing film released by Warner Brothers up until this year, until Barbie knocked it off. So it had a good run. Budget of 250 million, which was shared with part 1. So if that's true, then they made a ton of money off of these two movies, which who knows with the accounting stuff in Hollywood. I'm sure they made money, but they probably made it look like they didn't make money. We've talked about it before. Moving on. Runtime 2 hours and 10 minutes. It was directed by David Yates, who directed the final 4 Harry Potter movies and all 3 of the Fantastic Beasts movies. And the cast, of course, includes Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, Helena Bonham Carter, Robbie Coltrane, Warwick Davis, Ray Fiennes, Michael Gambon, Tom Felton, Bonnie Wright, Matthew Lewis, Ivana Lynch, John Hurt, Jason Isaacs, Gary Oldman, Alan Rickman, Maggie Smith, David Thewlis, and Julie Waters. So, Amber, I'm going to go to you first. And no? Okay, I'm going to go to Brittany first. Sorry.
That'll
go
work.
to you first. So I mentioned before the movie came out in 2011, right? So it's obviously it's the most recent one that came out, not too long ago, right? What are your memories of going to see this movie in person for the first time? Talk about the excitement level you had going into the final film, knowing you probably knew it was going to happen because you read the book.
Of course I did. I mean, yes. I mean, I know there are fans out there who have only seen the movies and enjoyed it probably just as much as those of us who read the books and what have you. But because we obviously read the books, we wanted to see what was going to be kept in part 2, how they were going to adapt for certain things and what have you. I'm also kind of getting roasted a little bit for my response to Barbie. Christian from McDorks is in the chat. Appreciate you being here. Barbie was a great movie, he says. I'm sorry. I haven't seen it.
It's entertaining. It's entertaining. Okay. Yeah.
Wait, you've seen it?
I've seen it.
Wow. Okay. Rahib says the same thing. Barbie is a good movie, but Harry Potter hits different. That I will definitely believe, just because I have not watched it yet. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Barbie. We can talk about Barbie a different day. However, your question about leading up to seeing this movie in 2011. So in 2011, I was graduating college, and I was just like, okay, let's go. Harry Potter's the final movie. It's like the thing I'm looking forward to most in 2011. Never mind the fact that I just graduated with my degree, first person in my family to graduate with a degree, right? But I wanted to see the final battle between Harry and Voldemort. I wanted to see the epilogue. I wanted to see just so many different aspects of what was in the book. And granted, of course, for time purposes, you don't get every single detail, what have you. The big reveal, I think, about Snape was probably right up there along with the final battle and the epilogue, of course, because I wasn't anticipating that in the book. So I wanted to see how they were going to do it when the movie came out. There was a lot of kind of leaked sort of footage about what the actors looked like aged up, and it was not well received. I think because of that, the studio had to go back and like reshoot some things because they tried to, I can't even remember how they tried to like age them up. It wasn't good.
Yeah,
So
they tried CGI. They tried to do
yeah, they tried to
yeah,
like
and
why? Like why would you do that to them? But
right.
um it's also it's such an exciting movie to watch because it is the finale, but it's also sad because it's a culmination of 10 years that
Mhm.
I've been watching these films. I read, I think from Order of the Phoenix onward, I was at the midnight book releases and I read the book in at least a day, day and a half, right? So
Mhm.
I'm invested. But to see the final movie was just I was ready for it, but I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready to say goodbye to Harry and the Golden Trio and Hogwarts and things like that. I was ready, but I wasn't. So, Amber, dare you tell us your thoughts? Because this is bleeding. This came out what, the day before your birthday in 2011?
Yeah. Trust me, I was freaking out. I didn't care about my birthday. um, I was just I was al- I was of the same mind as you, where I was wondering how they were going to do the Snape reveal,
Mhm.
how they were going to do I guess the whole battle, all of it really, because yeah, we do see some battles in previous and duels in previous um movies, but like other than I think in Order of the Phoenix, like Dumbledore and Voldemort's fight, like we don't see anything like really, really, really big, like a full-on war
Yeah.
until so I was really interested in that and just it's such a heavy emotionally heavy movie that I was just really excited to see how it was going to go and I I really like it. It is one of my favorites. It might just because of, I guess, the penultimate movie of the series, seeing how everything wraps up, how everything finally resolves, all the ends are tied in neat, beautiful knots and everything. Like it's, I think that is why I really liked it, but I genuinely really enjoy the movie.
So I think I know the answer to this, but I think I'm on the other side than y'all. So I talked about this along the way is how, I like the way they kind of slowly built up Voldemort as the main villain. We got like almost nothing of him for several movies and then little drips and drabs. And then we finally got him in the last movie. Now we have him for all of this movie. And I gotta say, I feel like the battle is not that great. Like when you think about epic conclusions to these franchise series, like it doesn't compare to like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi. It doesn't compare to the Avengers and Thanos in Endgame. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
maybe that's also my personal preference, of course. But I just
It
felt
is.
like well, yeah, I mean, it definitely is. But I mean, okay, what I'm saying, do y'all think this was a satisfying conclusion to the story for Harry and the Golden Trio and for all the characters? Amber, I'll go to you first.
Um, you get a little bit more satisfaction, I feel, in the book,
Mhm.
but I feel like you're always going to get more satisfaction in the book than in actually in a movie, but I feel like I was a little bit let down of how they looked at the end because yeah, doing the 19 years later is important because that's how the book ends
Mhm.
and it would be great to see that, but also like I don't know, even maybe who knows, maybe the someday whenever they do the TV they do the TV show
Mhm.
adaptation in like what 8 years time
Ugh.
and even longer until they actually get to that book. But um, maybe they'll actually do like a I don't know a little montage so we can actually see like Hermione is the Minister of Magic. That's pretty cool, but we don't know that. As far as we
Yeah.
know, she's a stay-at-home mom, and that's kind of lame.
Yeah. Kind of lame.
So there's things like that that kind of feel a little wah, wah to me, but I overall I can see how the battle definitely was a little lackluster, and I think it's mainly because the pacing felt a little off because it does take over like 24 hours. So like it's 2 days at least that they
Right.
have like battle part 1 and then battle part 2 and then
Yeah.
the room of requirement fiend fire expedition. Like it's just so many things are going on at once, but it still felt a little disjointed.
So I think with your question, Justin, about the final battle between Voldemort and Harry, the movie did a lot of things that obviously were not in the book, especially with Harry being chased down by Voldemort. They're going up like the clock tower and things like that, and they kind of like start they grasp onto each other, and because Voldemort can fly, right, with black smoke or wispies, whatever you call it, that's something that was not included in the book. I don't recall.
Yeah.
It's
No, it was not.
since-
And
okay,
it looked
yeah, it's
weird.
been yeah, it's been a really long time since I've read the book, let alone even listened to the audiobook. But so they did some things visually that were supposed to be a little bit more compelling and a little bit more jarring, I think. But it, but it also, the actual final courtyard like battle between the two, you have the Elder Wand against Harry's wand, which is
No, it's
Amber so
Draco's.
eloquently Vanna White demonstrating here, right?
It's Draco's.
Draco's. Oh, why did I say Harry? Sorry, it's Draco's. Yeah, you're right. Because Harry's wand is not there. We're going to talk about that later because I know Amber's going to have some feelings about.
I have
what
all the
happens.
wands that we see in this movie right here.
Oh wow, here we go. Yeah, I have a lot of feelings, especially about the Elder Wand at the very end of this movie, because oh my god, it did not happen like that in the book.
Let's talk about it now. Just go to it now.
Okay, so going quickly in the chat though, Christian shares it is anticlimactic just a little bit, but still loved it. I mean, Dumbledore also attacked Harry, and that wasn't in the book. If you're talking about Harry, did you put your name in the goblet of fire? Like, yeah, that was wild. But so talking about the big change, especially with the Elder Wand, you have the most powerful wand that's ever been created in Voldemort's hands. He's thinking he's inevitable, right? With this wand. And it's not responding to him. It's not working for him because he thinks, oh, because Snape was the one who killed Dumbledore, Snape is the true master. No, that's not really the case, because we do learn that because it was Draco who disarmed Dumbledore the night that Dumbledore was killed, the powers transferred to Draco. But then when Harry fought Draco at Malfoy Manor and disarmed him, the loyalty changed as well. So like Draco's wand then became Harry's, but also the power of the Elder Wand transferred to Harry as well, which is like, I think that's really unique. I don't know how many people out there or how many wizards out there would actually have like two wands that would be loyal to just one person, right? It's wild. But what happened? What Harry did to the Elder Wand? Amber.
Well, I was going to ask, Amber, like, how did you feel about that?
Oh
like,
my god!
Like, would you ever do that?
Oh my god, my hair.
No.
No, I'm not even gonna pretend to pantomime snapping a wand while it's in my fake wands are in my hand. No, like I won't even do
you have
that.
a chopstick?
Like
So,
no, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
So would you just take the wand and rule the world forever, or would because like Harry does it because it's like the good guy thing to do, right?
I am personally of the mind that this wand is tired. This like because mind you, in OllivAmber we see it in the first movie, in the first book, and we see it throughout the entire series, but it's prevalent in this one, and OllivAmber says it again in the beginning, that the wand choose the wizard. The wands are semi-sentient. They make their own choices and their own decisions, and this guy in the past was won by death, but it chose to go with Harry. Well, technically it chose to go with Draco from the disarming, and then it chose to go with Harry, and so it didn't want to harm Harry. So I think this wand is tired. I think it just wants to it wants to retire. Let it sleep. Bury it. I personally, if I was Harry, and I've seen some people do like fan fictions and like fan canon, I guess, fanon, about Harry should have just buried the wand and just as it was, buried it. Nobody's using it, nobody's touching it. And I personally would have done the same thing because like Harry would not be the only person who would know where it was. And he's never going to tell anyone.
But what did he do in comparison from the book to the movie?
He snapped it. And
no, but what did he do in the book with the wand?
Oh, repaired Holly and Phoenix.
Yeah. So Harry used the Elder Wand, the most powerful wand in the world, to mend his broken wand, the wand that chose him when he was 11 years old. He was able to fix his wand, and then he goes and no one's going to use the Elder Wand ever again, right? No one.
Nope.
Because he does return it back to Dumbledore's grave, right? And it's buried with him, right? So I'm like, that's just poetic. That's, to me, that was the way to do it. When I was watching in theaters, Harry had the wand and said, "It's mine." You know, Ron, what are we going to do with it? We like, I'm just saying, it's the most powerful wand in the world. Harry turns, snaps it, tosses it into the fucking like moat,
the black
and
lake.
I'm like,
yeah,
what are you doing?
I'm upset about it because
this is why he was not meant for Ravenclaw. The boy is stupid.
Well, that, and then also he didn't fix Holly. Like he didn't fix this guy. Like it just.
Why did David Yates and the producers decide to do this? I will never understand. I don't know what the shock and awe was. Okay, not awe. The shock was there. Sorry, my hair looks crazy right now.
Oh, I
like,
gasped and I like literally flinched. I was like,
Yeah, right, exactly. So it's just like, what are you doing? I understood. No one's going to be able to use this wand ever again. Break, toss. Bye-bye. Fix your wand, Harry. Do you really want to use Draco's wand from here on out? You dummy? Like, why?
So
I'm done.
Two things. I agree. He should have taken the wand and buried it in the sands of Tatooine. That's how it should have ended.
Oh my God. And then what, say that he's
that's
Harry
that's,
Skywalker?
He's Harry
I
Skywalker.
hate you.
Yeah. That's another franchise. No.
God.
No, but seriously.
I'm not happy about it, but it's pretty funny.
Right. So he breaks the wand and tosses it. Wouldn't that be a great setup for like the next movie if somebody's like just wandering down and finds it and goes, "Oh, what's this?"
Someone's
wandering,
Justin.
Wandering. There we go. I didn't put that together. But if someone did put it back together, is that possible? And wouldn't that be kind of a cool way to like restart the series? Amber, your thoughts?
No, because he snapped it. He snapped it. This wand is, that we know of, the only wand that's powerful enough to mend a wand. If this guy's broken, then everyone's kind of screwed. Like, wand makers can try, but it doesn't really end well. And I know that they can like replace cores, because like for unicorn core wands, they can actually the core itself, like the magical, I guess, unit inside of the wands can actually die. That's the unique thing with unicorn wands. They can die or just give up. And they're actually insanely loyal to their first and only owner, and they'll never, ever, 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 ever change. They would rather just stop working completely and, air quotes here, die, than work for somebody who they don't want to, or dark magic. And we can replace cores, like you could replace it with another unicorn hair. That's fine, but
yeah,
the others overall, no. And while I'm on the part of mentioning unicorn cores. That's another thing of why it's so interesting that Draco's wand works for Harry, because it is hawthorn, which is a very stubborn wood, and the core is unicorn. So I just said that it's a stubborn wand, and it's insanely loyal to its original owner, which also unicorns are the hardest to turn to the dark arts. So the fact that it's Draco's is interesting, very interesting, and shows a little bit of the duality of Draco. But this is the wand that defeated Voldemort, and that is so cool because unicorn wands are considered the weaker of the three cores. This is the one that defeated Voldemort. I have very strong feelings about Draco's wand, but I just wanted to mention that.
With Harry's trusty go-to spell of Expelliarmus, like that's his baby right there. Like that was Expelliarmus, expel, this and that. And also, fun fact, the wand that is Draco's, as Amber just showed everyone, if you're watching here on YouTube, that was actually the first official wand I purchased when I visited Harry Potter, or the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Orlando. Just because, for one, I'm Slytherin, if you haven't, noticed by my robes.
Really?
But two, no, not at all. But two, what I really appreciate about Draco's wand, not that we're going to start really talking about wands. For more information about wands, go to Amber's wonderful YouTube channel.
Thank you.
What I love about Draco's wand is it's so simple, and to me, it's the only wand I think that really didn't change from the first two movies onward, right? Because all the other character wands changed. They had like some sort of texture or some sort of decorative element to it. They had like, it was more personalized, whereas Draco's like stayed the same. And I think because I'm such a creature of habit and I'm like really plain Jane about it, I was really drawn to that wand because it's just it. When I think wand, I think Draco's wand. Like that's what that reminded me of. Kind of, it was lost on me that it was his wand that actually defeated Voldemort. So that's huge. That's like crazy because his family were big supporters of Voldemort. They were Death Eaters and they were, pure blood this, pure blood that, although they followed a half blood, which is hilarious. But yeah, it's great facts, Amber, pointing that out. Listen, y'all, again, go follow Amber and her YouTube channel, OllivAmber's Wands. Learn about the wands from the Wizarding World. There you go.
Yes, please.
She definitely knows what she's talking about. So,
oh yeah,
that's why it's always great to have her on the podcast.
Yep. Just a bit,
a little bit.
So,
anyway,
sticking with Draco, I have a question for y'all because I didn't really understand this. I've now seen this movie 3 times, so give me some credit. I watched this movie twice the past couple of days. So, toward the end of the movie, when Harry is playing dead, right before the final battle, the final battle, or however you want to describe it, there's a part where, they ask, Voldemort asks if the boy's dead, meaning Harry, and Narcissa Malfoy, which is Draco's mother, goes over to Harry, sees that Harry's like is like breathing, or he's like there's some facial movement going on, and she says, "Draco, is he alive?" I don't see Draco anywhere in the screen,
right?
And then then she turns around and says, "Oh, the boy's dead," and then of course Voldemort's celebrating and everyone is devastated. So explain to me what's happening there, because I know we saw Draco earlier in the film where Harry decided to save Draco when they were on the brooms and the fiery stuff and all that. But just walk me through like what's happening there, because I did not really understand. Like, is she actually talking to Draco, or is Draco like working through her? What's going on?
No, you're.
Brittany, do you want to take it, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I mean, I can. You can.
Yeah.
Pick up wherever I may leave out something.
You can tag her in. Yeah.
Tag team, right? Yeah. Ultimately, no. I like your way of thinking, but it's far simpler than that. It's a mother's love, right? Narcissa is concerned for her son. I think at that point, for Narcissa, who may not have been fully invested in being a Death Eater, a supporter of Voldemort and what have you. I think she's finally like done with it all, right? She's seen what's happened, what it's cost a lot of people, and all she really cares about is getting her and her family out. And she wants to know from Harry, because she could see visibly, like, okay, he's clearly alive, like he's breathing, you know, he's not cold to the touch or that kind of thing, right? He's alive. So that's why she's asking him, is Draco alive? And Harry does make like kind of like a little nod, like a very subtle nod, like saying yes, he's alive. And she has two options. She could either say yes, he's dead, or no, he's alive, and Voldemort can come in and kill. But for her, I think this was her way out. She needed confirmation that her son was alive, and she was going to get to him one way or another. Because when the march to Hogwarts is happening, Hagrid is carrying Harry's quote dead body for the whole world to see. It was Narcissa who said to Draco, you know, from across the courtyard, Draco, come. And he walks over. Voldemort awkwardly hugs him, which was totally not scripted. And
great.
It was great. It was just really creepy. But Tom, just kidding. Draco walks over to his parents. And when Harry reveals that, hey, I'm not dead, y'all, let's start fighting all over again, you notice that it's the Malfoy family, amongst others, who ditch the Death Eaters and walk away. That's the end of it. So ultimately, it's a mother's love that she, in a weird way, protected Harry from dying because she lied to Voldemort and said he's dead. So, yeah.
And an interesting point too is to kind of confirm that she wasn't really a follower of the Dark Lord truly. She was just kind of doing what she could to save her husband and her son. Was she never got the Dark Mark. She was officially never really a Death Eater. She was just involved with that because of her husband and her son, and that
and her
is just
sister.
another confirmation. And her sister, yeah. And also, we don't really have confirmation of it, but it's a very popular kind of fan assumption that because we know that Bellatrix and Draco are Legilimens, that was kind of how she lied to Voldemort, because Voldemort is a very strong Legilimens. Like he
explain for those who may not be
sorry.
aware what Legilimens are.
Yeah, like me, I have no clue.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Legilimens and Legilimency and occlumency are the reading people's minds and protecting your mind, respectively. So if you are a Legilimens, you can infiltrate people's minds and basically read their minds. And if you and kind of going hand in hand with that, you can learn how to fortify your own mind from other Legilimens. And that's actually what Snape was supposed to be teaching Harry in the past couple movies, like to try and learn occlumency to protect his mind from Voldemort. And that didn't work out. But Snape and Dumbledore and Voldemort are strong Legilimens. They can read people's minds. So a lot of people who hadn't read the books and didn't really know that were like, how did this woman lie to Voldemort's face? And he didn't catch that. And then also he's, is it really just him being cocky and being like, I did it, and not really bothering to check, which seems like a real fatal mistake? Or like, which is possible. It is possible that he could have done that, but
I feel like because he's weakened too. I mean, he just killed the unintentional Horcrux that is Harry, and making him very vulnerable. I mean, the last thing left was Nagini, but continue.
Yeah, so it's just the popular just fan assumption. I don't really technically think it's a theory, is that she is just like her sister and just like her son, good at occlumency and Legilimency, so she was able to protect her mind, and he wouldn't have been able to tell anyway if he had tried.
Yeah.
Real
Real quick,
and I think that's interesting.
Real quick in the chat, Amber, Christian has a small request. He wants you to say Bellatrix again.
Bellatrix?
I heard it too, Christian. I know what you're referring to. There was a little bit of an accent when you were saying
Oh.
Bellatrix the first time you were speaking about her. It's fine. It's fine.
Bellatrix.
Bellatrix.
Jeez, guys, let her be. I mean, we can't all be perfect like me. So let's
Oh Lord
ease up.
Almighty.
Ease up. No.
Ugh.
Didn't even know what legitimacy is. I mean,
I know. I mean, I know.
Boom.
I mean, I know.
Boom.
I mean, I know a lot more than I did know about Harry Potter before we started doing these reviews. Like
forced proximity.
well, I've done some research. I watched the movies and like, you know,
He's a
it's
journalist.
interesting.
It's what happens.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, back to the movie. So while I thought the final battle between Voldemort and Harry was kind of anticlimactic, I do think the Snape stuff is really good. And Brittany, I want you to just walk us through kind of the Snape's kind of his run in this movie. How obviously he meets his demise, and then we get the revelation through these like visions with Dumbledore. And
Yeah.
to me, that was I'd forgotten about that Dumbledore was actually dead, because on a previous podcast when he died, I was like, yeah, he died. Cool,
Oh
you know, but
God.
he was dead. So
Yes, he
I
was.
feel
He dead.
not as perfect as I
Dead.
probably should be. But
Yeah.
what Brittany, walk us through Snape's run in this movie.
So Snape is headmaster of Hogwarts, and when the trio arrive in Hogsmeade, there's like an alert, right? And that sets off these Death Eaters to try and find Harry, bring him to the castle and what have you. And so Snape is telling the whole school, if anyone is harboring Harry Potter, you will basically be punished for it. And what I think was really compelling, the scene that he shares with McGonagall, who, you know, they're colleagues, they've worked together for a really long time. Yes, they're in opposing houses, but what was really telling about McGonagall was that she was willing to fight Snape in order to protect Harry. And what you have to carefully notice, and I'm not sure if you caught it, Justin, is that every time that McGonagall would cast a spell onto Snape, he, you know, deflected it, right? But he also knocked out the two, what are the two defense against art, the dark arts teachers, quote unquote, the Carrows, their brother and sister. They're standing behind Snape as McGonagall's coming after him. So he knocks them out because I think he knows this woman is a force to be reckoned with. Like, she will like knock you out and she will potentially kill you. So he kept all the attention, you know, kept her attention, right? But he never attacked. He never fought back because he deflected, right? And so if that wasn't kind of telling about his character, his true nature, really, you really wouldn't know that.
It does happen fast in the movie. It happens fast.
It does.
And it looks like he gets scared and bounces because she steps up. Yeah. Because McGonagall,
you're made to believe.
Right. In this movie, she not only does she, you know, step up to challenge Snape, but she also is like kind of the protector of Hogwarts. Like she, you know, she casts this spell and brings
Here,
these
totem locomotor.
These statues to life to protect the school. So
I've always wanted to use that spell.
One thing I like about just that whole sequence in general is that when it is like Harry and had confronted Snape, yeah, everyone's just kind of standing and watching. But the second that McGonagall stepped in, everyone went, woo, like, we give him room.
Back up.
It just
back up.
Parted, yeah, the crowd parted like the Red Sea. It was brilliant.
Man.
The amount of like instant like respect, I guess, and like
shit got real.
Yeah, like everyone's just like, oh, she's involved now. Okay, give him room. And I don't know if this was intentional, but I saw like a thing that somebody tried to catch that when Snape was apparating back that he took
Bastard.
the Carrow's wands
Yes.
before he dipped. So
Yes. That was weird.
that is really weird. How did that happen?
Amber has
You
fireworks
threw up a
going off.
thumbs up and there was fire. Look at that. That's really cool.
What else can Amber do?
Wow. Amber is
No.
truly magical, y'all. This
She's
is
a
crazy. If you're
wizard.
watching,
She is a wizard.
if you're watching, technically a witch. If you're watching here on YouTube,
Yeah.
Amber just threw up some fireworks talking about Snape and everything. That's hilarious. That is great. If y'all are listening to us,
Make
on
a
our
heart
audio
sign
podcast.
or like do other things and see what you can do.
Do other
No,
things.
that didn't do
Okay.
it. Oh, there it is.
It works.
She made a heart with her hand and the hearts fluttered out. Oh my god.
So
this is crazy.
Amber, do something different and like just say some kind of spell words and
Kisses.
let's make it happen.
I don't know if the kisses will work.
Expellius kisses,
Expelliarmus.
sir.
Oh, God. Besos.
What else? Now I want to know.
kidding.
Like, will something like
That's crazy. We're getting off topic, y'all. We're getting
Okay.
off
Your hands, maybe. Yeah. I'm fascinated by this. This is amazing.
This is hilarious. So we just got off topic. That's so crazy.
I don't even remember what we were talking
So
about.
for Snape to try to take on McGonagall in a way, but not really in a way, that's very telling because when he does eventually meet with Voldemort in the boathouse to ultimately be killed, which is it's actually kind of sad how he's killed because it's not even Voldemort who's doing it. He sicks his giant ass snake on Snape and says Nagini dinner or not dinner attack or some shit like that. Yeah, and
That's
so
in the last movie. Is the dinner.
Oh, dinner. You're right. Because it was Cherry Burbage. But with Snape, he's being violently like
Killed.
bitten.
Yeah.
And the trio is witnessing this, and Harry runs to him and gets a flask to take his tears because Snape's telling take my tears, and if you're not familiar, tears can reveal memories that you can revisit in the Pensieve in Dumbledore's office. And the last thing that Snape says to Harry is, look at me. You have your mother's eyes. Because that's something that Harry has obviously heard all his life. You look like your father, but you have your mother's eyes. And that's the only thing that mattered to Snape, or in other words, to tell Harry before he died. You have your mother's eyes. And the big reveal of Snape actually not being a supporter of Voldemort, he was a supporter of, in a way, Dumbledore, but he was doing it to honor Lily, Harry's mother, whom he loved since childhood. It's crazy. They grew up together. Snape and Lily came to Hogwarts together. They were sorted into different houses. James Potter, who was a year older, tormented Snape all throughout his time there. That's obviously why the bullying happened. And, Snape did turn to the dark arts and follow Voldemort. But when he learned that Voldemort had set eyes on the Potters to kill them and the whole thing, he went to Dumbledore to say, protect them. I will do anything. Protect them. And
wait. He said, was it anything, or what did he actually say, Brittany?
anything. Yeah. I can't do it as well.
Which is how you say anything all the time.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It is sometimes.
Okay.
But
you guys are going after me for Bellatrix.
See,
no, Amber, I'm defending you. This is my way.
No, I know.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, like Snape went to Dumbledore in desperation to save Lily, right? It didn't matter about James. It didn't matter about Harry. He only cared about Lily. Lily dies. Unfortunately, we see a montage of Snape visiting the house after Voldemort had killed the parents, and you see Snape just hold Lily's dead body, and poor Harry is still in the crib with the new scar on his forehead and just bawling his eyes out. I'm like, that child is traumatized. Jesus.
Well, that, and also you have to realize Snape had to walk over a man's dead body and didn't even care.
He probably kicked it. Like, let's be real. He
Yeah.
probably kicked James, like, dead body, be like,
Like,
that's what you get, you know, kind of thing.
it's just the logic behind that. Like, I have never, granted, I didn't experience the same kind of like life experiences that Snape did, but I could never imagine just letting a baby be screaming like a foot away from me just so I could hold a dead woman's body. And it's like, I just flabbergasted.
Yeah. No, it really is. So because of those events, and you don't get this from the movie, you get this all in the book. It was Snape who had overheard the prophecy being told from Trelawney, which was from a few movies ago. He was the one who shared the information with Voldemort, but he didn't get the full prophecy. It was, misinformation, if you will, and going to Dumbledore to ask for help. And Dumbledore's like, what will you do in return? Anything. And so from then on, it was, I think for Snape, it was trying to do right by Lily by protecting her son, even though he hated Harry from the get-go. It's not like, Harry ever did anything to him. It was solely the fact that he was James Potter's son, but he was going to protect Harry at whatever cost because that was Lily's son. And yeah.
And you also got to like consider that in Snape's eyes, Harry is the reason that she died.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because Voldemort went to that house to kill Harry. And the whole deal, the whole agreement was that Snape would not, the whole reason that the love protection even works is because he got Voldemort to agree to not kill Lily. And he told her to step aside multiple times, but she refused, and she didn't want to live she didn't want to step aside and have a man just kill her baby. So Voldemort did kill her, and that's what the love protection means. It was a genuine love sacrifice for Harry's life, and Snape just thinks that in his mind, every time not only does he see his worst enemy and the biggest loss of his life, because the love of his life went to his childhood bully. So just everything that could have gone wrong in this man's life kind of did, and Harry's just a reminder of why the love of his life is dead.
Yeah. No, and that's fair. I mean, really, the prophecy actually could have been about Neville, because Neville was born the day before Harry. So
before. You're right. I got it backwards. As the seventh month dies.
I forgive you. But with all that being said and done, you kind of, on the other side of that coin, then you have Dumbledore. You have Dumbledore, who raised Harry as a pig for slaughter, as according to Snape.
I've had feelings about this.
Oh my God, the feelings. Crazy. Oh, before we jump into that, though, I do want to just kind of wrap this up about Snape.
Hit me.
Snape's love for Lily ran so deep that his Patronus that he cast was a doe. A doe, a female deer. That is the same Patronus that we saw in part 1 that guided Harry to find the Sword of Gryffindor that was in the frozen lake. The doe is also the same Patronus as Lily Potter's Patronus, which was the partner to James' Patronus, which was a stag, which is also Harry's Patronus. So again, Snape and his love for Lily, crazy. And the fact that all-consuming, that's a great way of putting it, but how he still aided Harry no matter what, still, in his own way loved Lily and did whatever Dumbledore asked of him, which leads me to my problems with Albus, Percival, Wulfric, Brian, Dumbledore. Damn that man. Jesus. You can't help a brother out. You can't help the kid out. You send him on this journey to find these Horcruxes. You don't tell him where they are, what they actually could be. Like Hogwarts founders, like you get 3 out of 4 that are belongings of the Hogwarts founders, which is the locket that belonged to Slytherin, the Ravenclaw diadem, and the cup from Helga Hufflepuff. Didn't get Gryffindor, which I think is hilarious. But Dumbledore, like, he knew so much. And as Amber said, he could read people's minds, right? He, whatever. Like, help the child. Help him. And he knew that Harry was the unintended Horcrux that Voldemort made. And yet he needed to stay alive to die at the right time. And that Harry needed to willingly die. Recall the snitch saying, I open at the close after Harry, touched the snitch to his mouth, right? And I'm just like, oh my God, you are the most horrible person that ever existed. Brilliant in his own right. Powerful in his own right. Horrible person. Change my mind, people. Change my mind. Albus Dumbledore, horrible person. Amber, thoughts?
I'm not going to change your mind because I agree. I am not quiet about my dislike for this man. Because it's not even just Harry, and that's, I think, what's even more devastating to me is that he just uses and manipulates people, everyone around him. Like, he knew Sirius Black was innocent. He didn't say a word. He let that man rot in Azkaban for 13 years. And it's that just because Sirius was not useful to him. He had no use for him, so he didn't bother saving him. He could have said something because he has massive sway over the Wizengamot.
Yeah.
Didn't say anything about that. And then he obviously used Snape for Snape's entire rest of his life after they were 21 when they died? So Snape would have been 21, 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. He could, he ruled over this man's life and, used and relied on him so much.
Mm-hmm.
And that, not only that, but, he does it for everybody. If he has use of you, he will just eat it up and never give anything in return. Because you're pieces in chess to him. You're just pawns for him to move around. He, he does say in, I guess, the afterlife with Harry, because I grew to care for you. Yeah. I grew to care for you and stuff like that. And it's bullshit. Then just help him. I understand Harry needs to be under his, he has to live with the Dursleys because of the blood magic that was keeping the love protection alive. I understand that. I don't like it, but I get it.
Yeah.
I don't, but and I understand that Harry needed to come to the conclusion he needed to die willingly on his own because it wouldn't have worked otherwise. If you have to tell someone that they're going to die, they're
go.
Natural human reaction is to kind of resist that.
Yeah.
And I understand those things, but hey, there are things that could help us here. Help.
Why are you withholding? Why?
Yeah, it's just
why?
I don't understand why he would just withhold all of that information. And it makes me so angry because there are so many things. And there are times where Harry is angry at Dumbledore. And it's only in the books, though. We don't really see it in the movies at all. But
yeah, that's fair.
Harry should have been he was angry at some points.
Yeah.
But feel the rage, man. I mean, come on. And just as a little thing, there was the theory that the Sword of Gryffindor, because it can move places, that was going to be the Horcrux.
Yeah.
But it vanished when
Riddle.
When Riddle died. That was a theory, but then also Harry kind of is the Gryffindor Horcrux. Unintentional.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Also is related to Godric Godric Gryffindor. Godric. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's also related to him. So anyway, that being
He's just a
said,
destined bloodline. He's related to everybody. The
yeah,
Peverils,
yeah.
and he's technically an heir because his ancestors invented a whole bunch of potions. That's why Harry's rich.
Yeah, it is. But like I said, the kind of dynamic between that of Snape from the get-go, you're made to believe like this is not a good person. You don't like him, you don't trust him. Whereas with Dumbledore, it's like, oh, we like him, we trust him. We're gonna do anything and everything that he says, and it kind of like flipped in a weird way. So it's interesting. But I will say from this movie, very iconic line because it is from in the books. And Justin, I use this GIF all the time when I'm trying to drive a point. Is the moment when Snape says or answers Dumbledore's question about Lily after all this time. Always. Iconic. Mwah. Lord Rickman of the Allen, God bless you for delivering that line with such emotion and such like intensity.
I
It's
do
amazing.
kind of wish though that like they didn't have time to do it, but I kind of just wish now with the foresight that we have now, perspective, I guess. I wish they had explained that Patronuses can change and that they usually either match or complement others. Like Tonks's was originally a jackrabbit and it turned into a wolf and she fell in love with Remus Lupin, the werewolf. Like and also in the book, Snape gave her like a ton of crap for that, and it's like your Patronus matches a woman's, sir. Where's your calm your sass?
That's double standard, it's what it is. Thanks, patriarchy. Anyway, yeah. So Snape, definite, complete story arc, character arc development, whatever you want to call it. It was extremely well done. I remember reading the book and being shocked at that revelation, and again, excited to see how they did it in the movie. I think they did it extremely well. I really feel because you have someone like Alan Rickman who just performs, right? It's a masterclass every time that he's on screen, and for you to feel some type of way about kind of hating a character, and then you see why he did what he did and who he is as a person, really, all because he loved someone. And love can make people do some crazy things, some irrational things, but it also it really shaped him post Lily's death, and the fact that he stayed true to protecting Harry until the very end. And so much that Harry named one of his kids after him,
And
wild.
Dumbledore.
And
Dumbledore. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So before we move on, there's one more thing in the chat from Rahib about some fan fiction. Are y'all familiar with this?
So he
I
asked,
have not.
Did you guys read the fan fiction about that in the end battle? The Nagini swaps with Harry, and Nagini was in Harry's body in the
I think
end.
you mean Snape, maybe.
Oh, Snape. Okay, not Snake. Okay, got it. Snape body swaps with Harry. Either way, no, I haven't heard of this fan fiction. I'm not sure how I'd feel if it ever played out on the silver screen or even as any sort of production. I feel like that'd just be weird, personally. But
I don't see it ever happening because they wouldn't have had the foresight for it, and then also the only quote unquote body swap that we really have in the wizarding world that we know of is is Polyjuice Potion.
Right, Polyjuice, yeah. Yep. Lost Amber for a brief second.
Her briefly. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Sorry.
All right. No, you're good. Yeah, you're right. Polyjuice Potion is the way that people can body swap. We saw that with Moody and Barty Crouch Jr. And we would see it eventually again with the trio when they infiltrate the Ministry. So it's a thing.
Sorry, I think I
No,
a
you're good.
bag.
You're good. You're good.
It's just that I think is the polyjuice potion. So I just don't really
Yeah.
think that would be a I don't really see it
It's a stretch.
working out.
It's a stretch. I don't think.
Yeah,
it borderlines like possessing someone. So it's like, it's wild to me. So Rahib says that he is in Oxford. It's everywhere. But if you had the chance to write a fan fiction of Harry Potter, how would you write it? That is a great question. I'm not sure I could write anything that could support what the author has given us. Just because I feel that she created such a world that was from her personal life and experiences and trauma and what have you. And I don't know if I could top that. I really honestly don't think I could. Amber, could you write your own fan fiction of Potter?
I could.
I believe it.
But
I believe it.
I mean, I've also been writing fan fiction since I was like 13. So, and reading fan fiction since I was much younger than that. Specifically Harry Potter fan fiction. So I've read and seen a lot of Harry Potter fan fiction. It's kind of a comfort, I guess, because once I finish Harry Potter, the books or the movies or whatever output that I want to consume it in, if I want more, I can just go to fan fiction because there's hundreds of thousands of amazing writers who I don't remember. Brittany and I have talked about it before, how we have been on the Hermione train before.
Hermione.
Draco and Hermione, for anyone who may have forgotten, and now I can do hearts with my hands. Now that I remember reading this fan fiction ages ago, I think it's called The Disappearance of Draco Malfoy. I might be wrong. Where at the top of the tower, the Draco actually takes up Dumbledore's offer for help instead of killing Dumbledore. And it's literally just the rest of the series after that with that one thing changed. And it does eventually become Hermione, I believe. But I remember that like it was just so intriguing to me that something like a small little change in decision and somebody went with a completely different story off of that, because then Harry wouldn't have taken, like, since Draco wouldn't have disarmed Dumbledore, then Harry wouldn't be Master of the Elder Wand technically, and it changes so much, and like who dies and who doesn't and when they die and how they die. It changes so much. And like they were able to take care of like his parents and stuff like that. But like I just really liked it at the time, but granted it's been like 10 years since I read it. And when I used to write fan fiction, I never wrote for Harry Potter personally, but I've read a lot, and if I had enough idea, I probably and wanted to run with it, I could. But
you could. If anyone can do it, you can. I believe in you.
There's just I guess it's kind of in the same vein of why you said that you feel like you couldn't, but because there's so much rich world building in it, that I feel like there's thousands of more stories and avenues you could tell.
Yeah.
And that's also kind of whenever we get into Fantastic Beasts, that's kind of where it kind of weaves into that. There's other wizarding schools, there's other like communities of wizards and witches other than this high school. And
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I just think that's really, really interesting for people who choose to expand on it.
It sounds like Harry Potter What If. I'm sure that kind of stuff will be explored in the future.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. So I want to get y'all's thoughts on this part. I like how Voldemort can like speak to everyone. He has like this like whisper, and he's like, give me Harry Potter, and y'all are both Slytherin, and as it turns out, Slytherin House tries to turn over Harry. My question for each one of you: would you have done that if you were in that situation as a Slytherin? Would you have giving up Harry to the Dark Lord?
No,
Okay. Brittany is not saying no.
but
I'm also not saying yes either. So
I will say something though, because I have thoughts about that. I personally, I worry about, you got to think all of those Death Eaters most of them are the parents of those Slytherin kids. So when they're going to war against them, you have to think that you are asking a bunch of children, and we also know that, as an example from Lucius and Draco, that not all pureblood wizarding families treat their children well at all. Like, it's borderline abusive, and if not outright abusive. So these are a bunch of children that you're asking to fight physically almost to the death in a war against their families and parents that have abused them.
Oh yeah.
So you kind of gotta consider that. Like, I don't say what Pansy did was right, but the fact that
Pansy.
that's her name.
I know, it's a funny name.
The fact that Pansy made that decision, I don't really agree with it, and that I also don't really agree that McGonagall, judged the entire house based off of Pansy's
Actions,
one
yeah.
action. Yeah, I don't think that should have happened, but I'm not really surprised that they did that. And some people have theorized that McGonagall was aware of the Death Eater children thing and was like, this was me giving them an out without outright saying that.
In a weird way, banishing them was also protecting them.
Yeah, some people have said that she did that intentionally with that foresight. I personally don't really know what she did. Obviously, we have no way to know what Minerva McGonagall did, but
we're not Legilimens. God.
Yeah. But I think it'd be interesting if that is the case. But that's something you have to consider, I guess, when seeing that.
Listen, I'm all for throwing people under the bus. I'm all for it. Justin, of all people, I think really understands that about me.
No, not you.
Shush. But I think not for a purpose of killing. Like, you kill one to save how many? I mean, like, where does it end? You know what I mean? Like, it's never going to end with just one person. Like, the rise of power, there's always going to be someone else. There's always going to be like a new challenge. And so, no, I mean, I don't think I would have given up Harry for it. That, and because I also was in love with Daniel Radcliffe for ever. But no, I wouldn't. And like what Amber said, not all Slytherins are bad. Not all Slytherins perceive them to be the best, and pure blood is magic's might, whatever. So I really don't think it's fair to assume that all Slytherins are like-minded. They all operate under evil pretenses, etc. So no, I wouldn't. I don't think I would have given up Harry.
Well,
not
that, and you also got to consider what we were just talking about with Narcissa, basically saving Harry's life by
exactly
choosing to lie to Voldemort.
Yeah, and
to save her family. She wasn't her reasoning for doing that was to protect her own.
Yeah,
but that's kind of a core thing with Slytherins is we want to. Yeah, we can be brave like Gryffindors. We can be clever like Ravenclaws, but we can work really, really hard towards our goals like Hufflepuffs, but we do all of that to protect our own and that's not just our house. That's anyone. That's why I'm so violent in the fact that I will die and punch a person in the face for Hufflepuffs, because I love Hufflepuffs.
She will.
It's just that's how Slytherins operate. You can't.
Yeah.
They look out for their own, and that's. I feel like the whole process of being put in houses is all like-minded people in one area, and of course those traits are going to just be heightened by that because they're growing up for 7 years around like-minded people. So a group of teenagers and preteens who want to protect their own around others who want to protect their own and get that drilled into their minds. Of course, they're like, should we at least consider listening to the murderous tyrant? Like,
yeah. No, y'all had the right answer. I just had to ask the question. So,
but if we're talking about the one and only member of House Slytherin,
I mean, we
different
got to
story.
negotiate. What's in it for me? You know, like well, we have to talk turkey. Me and Valdi, me and Tommy Rids. We got to get down and
Tommy Rid.
discuss what's going on.
T-Rid.
No, of course I wouldn't do that. I would obviously help save the day, as I often do.
Sure.
The hero, the watcher.
You got some Gilderoy Lockhart cockiness going on this episode. Yo,
oh my god.
No, it's
I can't unsee it now.
I'm just being silly. Like, come on.
Oh my god. He's gonna win the Charming Smile Award.
Well, much like, I mean, I pretend to be brave, but a character who was actually very brave in this movie was my guy Neville. He played a huge part in this movie. Let's kind of walk through, you know, his moments in this movie, because he really, I mean, he hasn't really had that much shine in this series until this movie. Brittany, take it away. Tell us about Neville Longbottom and his run in this finale.
Neville stepped up. I mean, from the moment that we got to see him in part 2, it was through the Hogshead, which is owned by Aberforth Dumbledore, aka Albus Dumbledore's brother, y'all. In case you didn't know that, Aberforth has been helping the students in Hogwarts and sending them care packages, if you will. There was a tunnel that was built from the Hogshead to Hogwarts because all the other tunnels had been closed up. And Neville has kind of taken charge of the other students while the trio have been away. And it's really cool to see, because Neville, as a character, he's someone who's always been so unsure of himself. He didn't even know if he really was a wizard at any given point because he was a late bloomer. He was using his father's wand for the longest. And Amber can eloquently tell y'all that, you know, wands don't always respond well to, you know, other people, because again, the wand chooses a wizard. So that also didn't help Neville's confidence in being able to, you know, wield magic and use magic and what have you. But when he was finally able to get his own wand, he was given an opportunity to kind of step up and lead. He really like grew up. He really took charge, and he really, I think, shaped himself, because, as I mentioned earlier, he potentially could have also been the chosen one. It could have been him that Voldemort was after. It could have been his family that was murdered the night, that one night that Voldemort decided to take action. Right now, it's really kind of cool to see that for Neville and his overall character arc. I thought it was kind of strange that in the movie they suggested that he was into Luna Lovegood, and you know,
came out of nowhere, but
it was really in left field. That did not happen in the books, y'all. Spoiler, it did not happen in the books.
Talking about coming out of nowhere, the kiss between Ron and Hermione kind of came out of nowhere too.
Oh no, that was in the books, of course, but
yeah, but I mean, in the movie, it just kind of happens like out of nowhere. Yeah, so
it actually, in the books, it happened in front of Harry. Ron's going
like,
on and on. There's a war going on. He's like, we need to save the elves. We need to like whatever. And Hermione just like loses it, and she's like, "Oh, Ron!" and just like flings herself on him. They start making out, and Harry's all like, "Really? We're in the middle of a fucking war here, y'all, and you're gonna now?" Anyway,
yeah, it was. I
don't mind how that happened. Yeah,
I don't mind how it happened, just because they took out SPEW from the movies.
They did,
so we don't know how like violently Hermione was in support of house elves being protected and saved and released from their slavery. Like we don't know. We don't know any of that in the movies. So if they had done it how it was originally in the book, it would have been a little bit more confusing. I think being more of an adrenaline excitement thing. I did like afterwards though, where, you know, he makes that rude, like, oh, maybe he probably went to the requirement. It doesn't show up on the map. You said that last year. And she's like, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
she's just flabbergasted that he remembered. And then also that, like, because it's clever, it's
Really.
smart. And it's just kind of a little starstruck. And then he ends
Always
up,
the tone of surprise.
Yeah.
Always the tone of surprise.
And then later on in the room of requirement, he chases after after Goyle and Zabini, like, that's my girlfriend, and it's just it's a little
So
bit
sweet.
sweeter than
It is. The Neville with Luna, like, I don't even know the word that he says. It's not.
I'm mad for her.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's mad for her, and he's like, I better tell her now before we'll be dead by dawn or whatever. And it's like, that was weird, but him standing up in front of Voldemort when everyone assumes that Harry is dead, right? We see his dead body. And before that, he picks up the sorting hat. It's completely destroyed, basically. But inside is the sword of Gryffindor, because as we should all know, Justin, the sword will appear.
Way to call me out, but yeah, go ahead. Continue.
Like I said, any opportunity I can throw someone under the bus, I will. Any worthy Gryffindor can use, or the sword will appear to any worthy Gryffindor. And at that moment, Neville was worthy, because he was about to stand up in front of the most evil of wizards to walk the face of the earth, and basically said, we're not going to bow down to you. We're not going to follow you. Harry died, yes, but there, he still lives in us. There's still a bigger fight to be fought, and it's not over. Pulls out the sword, to show like he's taking the lead in all of this. All hell breaks loose, and eventually he's the one who decapitates Nagini as it's going to attack. I think it's Ron and Hermione, and he just comes out of nowhere, comes swinging with the sword with this hell of a yell, and Nagini dissolves, and that's the last of the Horcrux that needed to be destroyed.
Yeah.
My guy Neville, man,
Proud
what
of him.
a character development.
And I'm gonna be real short with it, but because Brittany, you mostly covered it, but his father's one that he had to grow up with and was forced to use was also a unicorn core. No wonder it never worked for him.
So loyal to its first owner.
Yeah. It's so no wonder it never worked for him. So it's just
stubborn.
And no wonder his, like, once he actually had his own wand, also unicorn core, but his own, they chose him. He blossomed, and
we love that for him. We love that for Neville.
I'm proud of our herbology professor.
Yeah, and that's something else that you don't know in the epilogue is Neville.
You don't know any of their careers.
I know,
don't learn any of their careers.
No, it's quite sad. Quite sad. So yeah, Neville, my guy.
Love it.
Well, I just want to kind of like ping around and talk about like kind of favorite moments now. I like how Molly Weasley, talk about stepping up.
Fucking legend.
Bellatrix is attacking Jenny. Molly Weasley says, "Not my daughter, you bitch," which
iconic.
I did not remember that from my first time watching it back in 2017.
Because you didn't.
I was like, I watched it. Anyway, what did y'all think when you first saw that moment? Was that also in the book, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I believe it was in the book.
The book spoiled it.
Yeah. Well, funny thing about books, that turn into movies.
Movies are based on books. It's kind of an issue.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, no, I thought, although it wasn't much of a very stretched out fight scene between Bellatrix and Molly. By the way, Helena Bonham Carter, perfect casting for Bellatrix.
Perfect.
You see that Bellatrix is someone who obviously knows how to duel. She's going to come at you with like all these curses and what have you. But Molly taps into something that I think has been theorized as perhaps ancient magic or some sort of unknown powerful magic that we don't commonly see, because the way that she kills Bellatrix, it's not with the typical killing curse, which it's a killing curse because it emulates green. It was kind of like a blue whitish sort of color, and it struck Bellatrix, and so she kind of like snatched up, and she got super like super skinny,
Kind
and
of
then
dehydrated.
Dehydrated is the word. That's a great word to provide a
Mummified.
visual. Mummified, and then she just bursts and is kind of just dissolves, and it's like, who is Molly fucking Weasley? Like, this
We've
woman,
never seen it.
Molly Pruitt, I think was her maiden name.
Yes.
Living legend. And I remember in the books, because Ginny's just not done well in the movies. Ginny's quite powerful in her own right. And I think she obviously gets that from her mother. She get it from her mama. And it's also, sorry, I had to tap into my hood side. Jesus. But the fact that Molly displayed, again, a mother's love. There's a theme here, y'all. A mother's love. What a mother will do to protect their own, right? She already lost one child in this battle. She lost one of the twins, and she wasn't about to lose her only daughter. So yeah, she was going to do whatever it took to protect Ginny. And if it means calling her opponent a bitch, so be it. So be it.
It was impressive. I loved it. But I
Quite.
hadn't even considered it was ancient magic. I just kind of like, that's a great.
I only say that now after playing Hogwarts Legacy and
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
some of the spells that are used with the ancient magic, because it's like,
True.
oh my God, that's like very similar to what Molly did. So
It is. You're right. You're right. I
she said I'm
won't-
right. Sorry.
No, I won't go into it like a tangent about it, but Molly's that did like strike me seeing in the movie. I was just like, whoa, because we've never seen something like that. It was really cool. It kind of struck me like how in I mentioned Avatar: The Last Airbender before. In Avatar: The Last Airbender, the only airbender that we see, because they can control elements, in the original series was the main character, the Avatar, and he's a peaceful being, and he would never have used his airbending in this way. But like decades later, and after his death, there are some evil people who are airbenders, and one of the things they do is they're able to control all air. So they took air out of people's lungs and suffocated them. Something I never even considered. I just remember my jaw just dropping.
Where can I learn this skill?
Well, I mean, and we see it in the original series of Avatar 2 that waterbenders can also blood bend, because they can bend the water in the body.
Much like our friend in Gen V.
Yes, that was my first thought, but bloodbending is definitely a thing, and I don't know. That was kind of the same feeling when I saw that. I had the same, like, I hadn't even conceptualized that as an idea that was possible, and it was cool.
Yeah.
And then obviously the line itself, it was just killer delivery. It was great.
So good. So good.
Another one of my favorite lines from the movie is you mentioned Jenny a little bit ago. The first time when Jenny sees Harry and Ron's behind Harry, and he's like, 6 months, she hasn't seen me, and it's like I'm Frankie first year, and I'm her brother. And then Seamus says, she's got lots of them. There's only one Harry. I thought that was funny. I thought that was a
He's
good
not
delivery.
wrong.
Yeah.
Seamus comes in with some bangers of a line, especially when it
Boom.
kind of boom. Okay, like he's a pyrotechnic throughout this whole series, and when McGonagall like tells him, "Hey, I need you to do me a solid, go blow up this damn bridge," and Neville and is all like, seriously, like boom, boom. And she tells Neville like to confer with Seamus. He has a God, I can't say the words to save my life. A particular prolific with pyrotechnics or some shit. It was alliteration. And Seamus responds with, "I can
Proclivity.
bring it."
Yeah, particular proclivity to pyrotechnics.
There you go. Thank
Yeah.
you. And Seamus responds with, "I can bring it down." It's like, yes!
He's waited his
So
whole life for this.
he's like, "This is my moment. In case does anyone notice, my eyebrows have grown."
I
Oh,
actually it's very, very soon after that. It's I know for a fact Matt Smith has said that he really did Neville's actor, said that he didn't really
Matt
he
Lewis.
think Matt Lewis, thank you, sorry. I'm thinking of wrong actors. I'm in a Doctor Who mind. I
It's
met
fine.
him, Matt Lewis. He
That's
said that
cool.
he's like, I don't like this line, it's lame. But I like it is when he is talking to the blown up bridge to the and like to the barrier with the Death Eaters, and he's like, yeah, you and whose army?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's just
That's a funny line.
it's a little dumb, but I just kind of loved it.
But
Because
I feel like it's very fitting for Neville, considering like he's always been like a follower, and at that moment he's kind of leading
Yeah.
this charge, and he's it's like a typical grade school kind of thing. Like, yeah, you and your mom, or you and whose army. It's like, yeah, it's very. I think it's very fitting for Neville to say something like that, and then once the Snatchers are able to get through the barrier that was protecting Hogwarts, and they're chasing Neville down the bridge, and it goes boom. Neville, like, you think he's lost, and he pops back up, and he's like, "That went well." Like, yeah, sure did, sure,
just like he planned it.
100%. But Seamus was true. He could bring it down. He brought it down. He brought that damn bridge down.
I also really enjoyed whenever Harry first returned to Hogwarts, and I believe it's Neville tells someone, get the word out. And this kid gets on the radio, and he's like, "We have a new weather report. Lightning has struck." I repeat, lightning has struck. I thought that was kind of a cool, like,
Yep.
little like code word way of saying Harry was back. And
Yeah.
and then finally, like, I said, like, I thought that the Voldemort Harry thing was not the best. It could have been better in my mind, but I do think they had some great quotes. Valdi hit Harry with Harry Potter, the boy who lived, come to die. And then whenever Harry grabs Tommy Rids and jumps, he goes, "Come on, Tom, let's finish this how we started, together." Yeah.
You have to
That
say
was
it
pretty
right.
cool.
Together.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
No, it's funny at that moment for Harry to not refer to Voldemort as because he's been the only one to actually refer to Voldemort as Voldemort. Everyone, it was the Dark Lord or he who must not be named. Harry showed no fear in ever saying his name. The only time that he didn't say his name was when it was taboo. And if you said it, then you were going to be snatched by the Snatchers.
Jinx.
It was a jinx. And at that moment when he's facing Voldemort, he's going to hit him where it hurts. It's like he's going to call him by his true born name, which is Tom, named after his muggle father. And he's like, "Come on, Tom, like, that one would never respond to you." And he's just digging. He's just digging to irritate the fire out of T Rids. And it's it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to see Harry toy with like the most evil dark wizard to like ever walk the face of the earth.
Well, I think it's also like a way for him to show like you want fear and respect, and I'm not going to give you that.
Bingo.
I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of calling
Exactly.
you by the name that you made out of an anagram in your diary. Like, I'm not going to do that. Like, he canonically has a diary. Come on. It's like I also Dumbledore did that too. Like, but also taught him is like he referred to him at like he would in public say Voldemort, but like whenever
Tom
speaking
Riddle.
directly to him, he called him Tom.
Yep.
And it's
wonderful.
Good on Harry. The sass.
The sass. He is a sassy boy.
Yeah, but he could have been so much sassier in the movies because he is so sassy in the books.
Yeah. Fun little fact, though, because we mentioned that Harry was the unintended Horcrux that was created. When we see Harry with Dumbledore at the clean and white King Cross Station, we see that bit of Voldemort that had, been destroyed or what have you. That animatronic is actually really weird. It's part of the studio tour where you can like press little buttons and like maneuver it, and it'll wiggle, and it's just like yeah, it's creepy. It's really creepy. But fun fact about Harry no longer being a Horcrux, it also meant that he could no longer speak Parseltongue, because that was the connection between him and Tom Riddle because of the Horcrux. And obviously he would not have any more connection to reading the Dark Lord's mind because the Dark Lord is dead. But yeah, his ability to speak Parseltongue is no longer there. It's also been suggested, because of the fact that Harry was an unintended Horcrux, that was the reason the Sorting Hat was debating about putting Harry in Slytherin over Gryffindor. It wasn't because of Harry and he himself. It was he was reading whatever Horcrux lived inside Harry.
Mm-hmm. And also his scar never hurt again.
It never hurt again. You're right.
Unless you want to count Cursed Child, but we're not getting into that.
We're not gonna. That's not canon. We're not gonna talk about it.
Mm-mm.
No.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because of the 19 years later epilogue stuff.
Mhm.
Do you think that that's where they could possibly go if they wanted to continue the story and maybe bring back the actors who played the characters? Is that the right move, or
It's
Yeah,
been
Brittany, you answer, 'cause-
suggested.
Yeah, it's been talked about.
suggested. It's been talked about. I think Chris Columbus, who directed the first two films, has expressed interest in perhaps creating. I don't know if they want to turn it into a series or if it was a movie of Cursed Child, but bringing back the original trio as parents, because that would put them at the right age
right?
that they are
Mhm.
now to be parents of their kids who are attending Hogwarts. And I don't for one, I don't think the actors are interested in it, truth be
They've
told.
said no.
Yeah, they've pretty much said. Dan for sure has said no. He's really parted ways with Harry, not because he doesn't love the films or he doesn't appreciate the 10 years that he spent doing it. It's like, we're grown. We're doing other things and what have you. But
And Emma too, I believe. I think
I
she
think
has said that she wouldn't.
I think you're right. I think Rupert, if he has
He's the only one.
expressed anything, I don't know, maybe he could be swayed. But I don't think you're going to get it. I don't think you should get it, because I don't consider the Cursed Child to be canon because
No.
of reasons. It's also not written by the author for Harry Potter. It was adapted as a screenplay. They used elements that she said that she didn't like being used, which was like the time turner stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't follow what happened in the stories about time turner, so it starts getting messy, and you're dealing with going back in time and time travel, that kind of thing, and it's a big mess. There's a big mess. So no, to answer your question, no, don't do it.
I have seen Cursed Child, and I was hearing all over the place that reading it, terrible. Watching it, it's a beautiful, amazing experience.
I still want to see it.
Yeah, like it's a beautiful, amazing experience and wonderful, but it's a kind of on its own. Like maybe it's because I'm so used to consuming fan fiction that to me it just kind of seemed like somebody just got their fan fiction budgeted.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was
Totally.
That's just how it felt. And even though JK has put her stamp of approval on it, Harry is one of my favorite characters, and I don't see reality where Harry tells his own son, "Sometimes I wish you weren't my child." This boy
it's pretty
was
fucked up.
Yeah, this boy's an orphan raised in an abusive household. Hadn't felt a motherly and loving embrace until he was a teenager. From Molly, like I can never imagine him saying that. And
yeah,
there's character things that but on the other side, I love Albus and Scorpius. I thought they were adorable. I thought they were sweet. It was actually very funny when I saw it. I was laughing out loud multiple times. The production, the on-stage magic and effects, brilliant. Like it was really well done, but it's a fan fiction to me.
No, we don't support this.
No. I do have Albus and Scorpius's wands though.
Oh, yes. Love it.
Upstairs. No, it's like I do like that they base that this, like, if they're going to do any kind of continuation, is about the Slytherins, the Slytherin child of Harry. Like, the little Slytherin in me was like kind of so excited to see sweet, adorable little nerdy Slytherins and having good Slytherin role models. Like, it was just, I kind of liked it because I just thought the kids were adorable.
Well, speaking of wands and Amber, of course you're the wand expert. We have a question in the chat about, it's from Rahib, asking if you had if you had a real wand, which one would you want and what would you do with it first?
Am I answering first?
Yeah, no, this is totally for you. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
Brittany can answer too. But yeah.
Mine, I would have my own, because I do know my wand stats. Actually, my earrings are little tiny holly wands.
Aw, look at that. How cute.
Me and Harry have the same wand wood because we're born in the same Celtic year as zodiac as each other. Because he's July 31st and I'm July 16th. So we are both under the holly tree moon, and so our woods are holly. But I am dragon heartstring core, 12 3/4 inches, and the flexibility is surprisingly swishy. I can talk about that on my channel. I won't go into the meaning of all that, but first thing I would do with it, probably Expecto Patronum, because I need to know what my actual Patronus is because I don't like that test.
Oh man.
I don't. I am honestly a little scared of any bird that's like goose size or bigger. Like, I can deal with like smaller birds of prey and owls and things, but anything bigger than that, I turn into like a bunny rabbit and I freeze. I can't deal with it. My Patronus, I've taken it multiple times, and like 4 times out of 5, I get an osprey. That's a bird of prey, people. Like, I get an ocean hawk. Like, what is? I don't see it.
So. It's meant to be. It's meant to be.
So that's what I would do. I would cast Expecto Patronum so I can see what my actual Patronus is.
So I definitely can't go into depth about wand stuff as much as Amber can, but I do know my specs as well because I am a nerd and I am part of the Wizarding Club, or formerly Pottermore, that, did all that stuff, sort of you into your house and your wand and your Patronus and what have you. So according to that, my wand is aspen wood with a dragon heartstring core. It is 12 3/4 inches and is unbending. I don't know what any of that means.
We have the same core and the same length.
Hey, and we're in the same house. Hey.
Honestly, it makes sense why we vibe. Makes sense.
Well, it certainly does. Casting the Patronus would not be the first thing that I do. I just want to throw in there that I too have a bird Patronus. It is a goshawk. Goshawk? I don't know how to say that. It's a bird. It's a hawk. That's pretty freaking cool. I think the first thing I would probably do, it'd be something towards my enemies.
I was going to say Accio because I'm lazy.
That too. Accio would probably be a good one. Yeah. Not quite sure what I do first, but probably something against my enemies. Probably silence them forever. Justin, if you had a wand, what would be the first thing you would do with the wand?
That is a very good question. I don't know. Maybe I would use the wand to make our podcast more successful. There we go.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just give us 1 million followers or something. That's what I would do.
Imperio, a whole bunch of people to follow.
Imperio, yes.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. What's kind of fun and going in the line of wands and what we do with them. My family actually over Thanksgiving week was in the Wizarding World, in Hollywood, in Universal Studios Hollywood, and my nephew, who is 8.5, he did the wand experience, and I knew that they were there that day, but I got a call on the phone from my nephew, crying his eyes out because he was not chosen for the wand choosing ceremony.
So sad.
And I know, I was so, I did my best. I'm like, hey, when you're 11, man, 2.5 more years, or 3.5 more years. I can do math. We are going, we're going to have a sorting for you. You're going to get a robe. You're going to get your wand. And because I have plans. And I've spoken to him about this. Yeah, I've spoken to him about this before. He was aware of it, but he just needed the reminding. But it was really, really sweet as an auntie to hear my nephew be like, I just wanted to be a wizard like you.
Aww.
And
my heart.
You are a wizard. And he ended up getting a wand because I was like, well, your ash is your wood tree. Like ash wood is your wand wood. And the wand keepers in the shop can help you. And I told his mom that too. And he did get an interactive wand, and he actually did really well at doing the interactive spells all over the Wizarding World. And
Yay.
he did a lot better than I did. Like, he did it first try on some of them, and it took me 12 tries before I could get it. So I don't know. He's a wizard.
He's a wizard.
But he had a lot of questions for me, and I was
You're
very,
a wizard,
very proud.
nephew.
Yes. But
So
it was
sweet.
just kind of sweet because he always viewed Harry Potter as something that he calls me Nem Nem. Sorry, something that my Nem Nem loves.
No.
That's her thing. He's watched the first movie, but he made it very clear he was only watching it for me. It was no interest on his part.
Just like Justin and me.
Yeah, but he actually seemed to really enjoy it and says that there's another wizard in the family.
One of us.
Isn't it wonderful?
One of us. One of us.
Very cool.
Love that.
Very cool. Well, as we're kind of wrapping up our talk about the movie, is there anything that we didn't talk about that y'all want to touch on?
We didn't talk about the dragon that was
Dragon
at Gringotts. That is, I think, a fantastic sequence with having that dragon that's pretty much used to guard the deeper vaults of Gringotts. That's how the trio are able to make the great escape from Gringotts. It's also a fantastic ride at the Wizarding World. If y'all ever do visit one of the parks, it's only at Diagon Alley. What am I talking about? So it's only in Orlando. It is amazing. You are basically going on this adventure with the trio and trying to escape Voldemort, Bellatrix in Gringotts. And that ride is really cool. You do feel the heat from the dragon, y'all. So I think that was a really cool sequence with even with Hermione having to use Polyjuice Potion to turn into Bellatrix. And what I love about that is that how the actors dealt with it. It was, Helena Bonham Carter, who plays Bellatrix, had to pretend to be Hermione Granger, who's played by Emma Watson, who had to pretend to be Helena Bonham Carter, or played Bellatrix. See what I'm saying? It's like they had to kind of watch each other and learn the mannerisms of each other in order to portray it, but as their character. It's really funny with all that. And Griphook, who tried to double cross them, he ends up getting killed. Serves you right. Just saying. But I'm trying to think what else happens. I think also the big reveal of Aberforth Dumbledore. There's so much that we didn't know about Dumbledore throughout the series. And then when you learn that he had this brother, you also learn that they had a sister who died very young. That was kind of planting the seed for what we would eventually get with Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore, and ultimately that went nowhere. So that being said, the background of Dumbledore is very interesting. Still don't like the guy, but yeah, there's some things in this movie that I really did enjoy. I was very much looking forward to, of course, when I first watched it, some 12 years ago, and I can't believe it's 12 years old at this point. It's wild. wild to me. Absolutely
Mhm.
wild. Yeah. Amber,
Yeah.
any last thoughts?
Um, I just liked it because I mean, hey, I love this one because this one is the most wand centric and shows really highlights the importance of wands and why it's so important. And I loved how I liked there's so much of it that I loved in this movie. And I can kind of just, like what does that mean? Like with the crazy conspiracy theory, like pointing at the board, like that's just me every time I'm talking about watching the movie with somebody. Um, and also it kind of has a special place for me because yeah, it was like 12 years ago, but um my sisters, they didn't want to watch Harry Potter, and then one of their friends was like, hey, I want to marathon the movies before we go see it in theaters. And then my sisters were like, actually, yeah, we want to watch it all. And so we had like a little party thing with my um, sister's friends and at my sister's houses at the time because they lived together at the time. And I got to share the Wizarding World with my sisters. And I've been involved with Harry Potter since I was 7 years old. So for
Wow.
me to be like to finally get the chance to share it with them, and it's all only because we were marathoning them so that we could go and see this movie. And we did. We all saw it together in theaters, and it was just, and again, it was around my birthday.
Mhm.
So it was just, it was euphoric. I really, really,
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah, I loved it, and I'm really glad that we were able to do uh, this pod covering it. And I mean,
Yay.
have we decided if we're doing Fantastic Beast?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
We've kind of toyed with
discussed
it.
that. Yeah. But no, and just kind of wrapping up the talk about the movie. Yeah, I've enjoyed doing this pod. I know Harry Potter means a lot to both Amber and Brittany. You can definitely tell by just listening and hearing what they have to say. But no, I've really gained a lot of appreciation for the movies. I overall I enjoy them, and we're not done talking about Harry Potter. So while we're wrapping up this pod here in a little bit, but we will come back next month. We're gonna rank all 8 movies. And
Okay.
yes, might we down the road, do some Fantastic Beasts? We probably will. So stick with us. We appreciate it. But yeah, I've enjoyed the run through the Wizarding World in these movies. And
Yay.
before we finish, our next stop on the Hogwarts Express is a documentary that just dropped on HBO Max, or I say HBO Max on Max. Sorry, they've changed
HBO
their
is fine.
branding. Yeah, on Max. The documentary is called David Holmes, The Boy Who Lived. It's a coming of age documentary that chronicles the stunt double David Holmes, who he was a stunt double for Daniel Radcliffe in the Harry Potter movies, and he endures a life changing accident. And I want to get y'all's thoughts on the doc, which we all just watched in like the last 24 hours. Amber, what'd you think about the documentary?
Beautifully moving. It was I knew bits and pieces. I just didn't know a lot of the details. Like I didn't know specifically what scene it was that caused the accident. I didn't know how deeply, I guess, he was involved. Like I knew that because Dan Rad does and did and still continues to do a lot of um, work to try and like I guess bring attention and awareness about this to people. And I knew about that, but I didn't realize just how close they were.
Yeah.
And it was moving. It was so, um, it was inspiring, really, just seeing somebody go through that. And that at the very, very last, like little title card during the credits was that there's going to be opening a school wants to open a school for, to train people to do kids to do stunts. And I just think that's wonderful. And
Mhm.
having just such a strong like will and motivation to go on and be such a genuine honest person. And that seems to make everyone around him grow to be better. I thought it was and very, very moving. It was very well done.
Yeah, to piggyback off what Amber said, it's a very moving documentary. It's I like how they position it where yes, they're sharing something that was incredibly tragic for this young man who basically was in his prime. I mean, he said that in Potter, he did all the movies except the last one, really, and he living his best life, right? He was a young man, he was making a lot of money, and he was doing something that he loved. He was constantly pushing the envelope and constantly putting his body at risk, and then one day it happened, right? The risk happened, and I I was really impressed with his outlook of life because I feel like if something like that were to happen to me or to a loved one of mine, I probably would have reacted very similar to that of his mother or the stunt coordinator who really just feels like he's to blame for the accident and for this man's life. And I completely understood why it was difficult for him to see David and to be around him and what have you. I totally get it. It did get difficult to watch at different points, just because of personal things that have happened. But I was really impressed with how David looked at life, and he's like, listen, suing the studios or suing someone, it wasn't going to change my prognosis. It wasn't going to make me be whole again. I have to be around positivity and constantly just kind of moving forward. I have to, keep going forward or else. Now, yeah, he faces daily challenges, but he is surrounded by such good people. I mean, he's got that one best friend who's his caretaker or caregiver, his two other friends that were on Potter as well, who one had to step in and be Dan's stunt double, and how difficult it was for him to kind of take on that mantle, right? It's a really moving documentary. I love that Dan Rad was also involved. He was an executive producer for the documentary. He's also a genuine friend to David because he likened David to having the brother that he never had, right? Dan Rad's an only child. And it the bond that these men continue to have years after Potter is very heartwarming. There's so much good that can be seen through David's eyes. And it's I just know I would have felt different had that happened to me, but seeing his perspective and understanding his perspective is just like, okay, like you can't argue with that. You don't pity him. You know what I mean? Like it's a really moving piece, and it's something I think that everyone should take the opportunity to watch. It tells a great story, and I think it was appropriately titled David Holmes, The Boy Who Lived. I was like, that's brilliant. That's so brilliant to name the documentary as such.
Yeah, it's a very well done documentary, and what happened to David Holmes. Um, he was paralyzed in a tragic accident, and I mean, anybody who's paralyzed, that's devastating. But to him, it was especially cruel given how active and how athletic and how he was constantly doing these things that not many people in the world can do or even
Yeah.
want to try to do. And so to see him go from being like, I mean, and he could do almost anything, and then now
Yeah.
he can do almost nothing. Like that is it's tough to watch, but he does have a very unique perspective on life and an
Mhm.
understanding, like almost like an instant understanding of his situation that I don't think
Yeah.
very many people would have. And yeah, it is, it's sad a lot of the time, but it's also, there's a lot of heartwarming moments. And like you said, the friendship with the other stunt doubles and with Daniel Radcliffe. And, it's a story. I did not know the story. I totally didn't know anything about this. And I feel like,
Yeah.
even if you're not a Harry Potter fan, which I mean, I like the movies now, but I wouldn't consider myself in the same level as Brittany or Amber by any stretch. But I would highly recommend this documentary. Um,
Yeah.
much like the reunion documentary from a couple of years ago, which before that I'd only watched the movies one time, and like I thought that reunion was great. This is
Mhm.
obviously
Yeah, I
much
cried
different
a lot.
story. Yeah. This is
Oh
a
yeah.
much different story, but
Mhm.
very well done. And like we said, it dropped on Max November 15th. So check that out. It's about an hour and a half. It's worth your time. It
Mhm.
yeah, it's
David
pretty
seems
good.
like such a wonderful person, such a genuine person, even when he's talking to because I imagine this doc got put on hold because of COVID. They were filming in 2019 and then COVID happened. They had stopped production and what have you. So when we see him at a different point, he's in the hospital being evaluated, having to wear a mask, and he's asking the nurse, did you lose anyone? You know, anyone that you loved? And she says, yes, my best friend. And he's just like, I'm so sorry. Like he's saying sorry to someone else who's, lost someone when it's just mind blowing because he's in a state of partial paralysis, paralyzation, and he's being giving and thoughtful towards someone else who's lost someone dear to them. And he says, have you gone on holiday? He goes, do you want to come and stay with me? I have a really nice house, like, and we can do all this. We could, he's the kind of person that would give the shirt off his back to you if you absolutely needed it and asked for it. Like he is that kind of person, and it warms my heart. I think he's such a wonderful person. Give it a watch, y'all. Do yourself a favor, give it a watch. You're not going to regret it.
And talking to the kids too at the
So sweet.
at the gymnastics school,
Yeah.
like that was just you can kind of see that a lot of those kids hadn't even considered that, oh, what I'm doing right now, I could go into that kind of career. And then
Yeah.
also like it's inspiring the life he has created. And
Mm-hmm.
even though he's faced great tragedy and great loss, like it's just he continues to be so warm
Yeah.
that and always has been too.
Yeah.
That's another thing. It's just he just seems so genuine and warm, and I would trust that man with my life at this moment. Like I just
Yeah.
he seems like a wonderful person. I really recommend this documentary.
Oh yeah. He's surrounded by good people, and he in turn stays a good person. If it's him that's making these people stay good people or vice versa, it doesn't matter. He's surrounded by good energy, and he knows the outcome. He knows what could happen one day, and he still continues to live. He's got a really beautiful outlook of his life.
Yeah. Yeah, and like Amber said, he not only does he have his own like school for stunt people, but he also has a podcast. So
He does. Yeah.
he's making the most of his time and doing what he can. So yeah,
Mhm.
definitely check it out. We all recommend it. So that about does it. Although there's a couple quick questions let's do lightning round questions here.
Okay.
Theme park, what would you rather? Universal Studios or Disney World? Amber
So,
first. Or Brittany, you go first.
I've been to Disney World once. I loved it.
Yep.
But I've been to Universal more often. I feel that's a little bit more geared for adults. So I'm going to go with Universal.
Okay. Amber?
Um, I've only been to Disney World once, when I was like a teenager, but I've been going to Disneyland so many times in my life. I genuinely can't even count how many times I've been. And my family, when they went to Universal last week, they also were in Disneyland too. So and I've only been to Universal Hollywood. I haven't been to Universal Florida. So I haven't seen Diagon Alley. I've only seen Hogsmeade. But I can't I wouldn't be able to pick just because I know Disneyland so well. Like I can walk around that place blindfolded because I know the map so well. I just tell me where you want me to go, and I can lead you there. I know the quickest routes, the sideways. I know everything, and I love the foods that are there, the unique foods too, and just the general, I guess, ambiance and aesthetic really is nostalgic for me. So I have a lot of like warm, loving feelings about that. But I do love Universal because I love rides and I like their rides because they are a bit more adult. And I love, obviously, I love Harry Potter. So if my dream, my ideal situation is going to both in one trip.
Whew,
But
that's a costly trip.
exactly, yeah, it's
Justin, you.
So I've been to
Universal
Disney
or Disney?
World. I've been to Disney World 3 times. I've been to Universal twice, but I've been to neither in like 20 years. So it's been a long time. So I would probably
Watcher's
say at
road
this
trip?
point, maybe. I'll tell you what, if I had to choose, I would choose Universal for one reason only. They have Fast and
Jurassic
Furious
Park.
rides. No, Fast and
Oh.
Furious. And I'm a part of the Fast family. We all know this by now. If you watch or listen to the Watchers, you know I'm part of the Fast family. So I gotta check that out at some point in my life.
what's
But,
Fast and Furious?
Oh, yeah.
I'm joking.
Come
I'm
on,
joking.
Amber. Like,
Ow.
I'm joking.
She went for the
Please.
jugular on that
trying
one.
to hurt
Good
me. Trying to
Lord.
hurt me.
What's that?
That's
So
fantastic.
the final question was, have we watched Monarch Legacy of Monsters? It's on Apple Plus. I have watched it. Y'all have not.
I don't have Apple Plus, so
Okay.
Neither do I.
Okay.
no.
I've watched
And
it.
also, I don't care for Godzilla, so I don't care.
Fair. It's 3
Will
episodes
loves
in.
Godzilla, so I'm surprised I haven't. But
It looks good. I think it's kind of interesting. I'm 3 episodes in. It's only, I think the 4th episode comes out on Friday. I'm not sure I can recommend it just yet, but I will let you know later on in another podcast. So anyway, there we go. So as we're getting out of here, we've heard Amber talk a lot about wands, but she talks a lot about wands on her own channel. And Amber, why don't you tell us how people can find that channel?
thank you. You can find my channel on the channel itself is on YouTube at OllivAmbers.wands. That's OllivAmbers.wands. And you can find me on YouTube. I'm also at the same name on TikTok, Instagram, and you can definitely shoot me a message on either of those because I'm always on there and I would love to talk to you about anything and everything. So if you have any other questions about any other fandom, it doesn't have to be Harry Potter, doesn't have to be wands, but I can answer those questions too. And I also do have a Tumblr too, but I am not as active as I should be on it. But but you can find me there, and it's just a study of wands and wand lore in the wizarding world.
It's a fantastic, wonderful channel.
Oh, shucks.
Very cool. We appreciate it. We appreciate having you on our podcast, especially for the Harry Potter episodes.
Yay!
And now that we've finished reviewing the Harry Potter movies, you know what we think about the films. We want to know what you think. And Brittany, what's the best way for people to let us know what they think about Harry Potter?
I mean, the best way is very much what Rahib, Yesenia, Michael V, Christian of Dorks, all of our friends here that join us in the live chat. We encourage everyone to join us on the live chat. And the way to do so is you got to first subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on the road to 300 by the end of 2023, y'all. We're currently at 291. 9 more people. We need 9 more. It would have been appropriate if it was 7 because it's 7 Horcruxes. Oh, that would have been perfect. Anyway,
You're right.
doesn't matter. It's fine. We very much appreciate all of our subscribers from day 1 to today. So join the Watchers family by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like this video. It helps us out a whole lot. And also to find out the next time we'll be live streaming, you got to hit that notification button. That way you get the alert when we're going live, because we do have some things coming up shortly. Justin mentioned that we're going to come back to rank the Harry Potter movies and talk about other things that we would have liked to have seen, maybe not have seen, but you got to join us to find out for sure, right? Yeah. We also have some very exciting drafts coming up as well. By drafts, I mean MCU. Yep, there's your little spoiler right there. But we also want everyone to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as Threads. Yes, we're on Threads, but I'm not that great about posting on Threads. It's still new, y'all, but we're there. We have a presence. Follow us on all those platforms. We appreciate it. You can also use hashtag Watchers Basement. That is our handle for our social media. Forgot to mention that. So help grow our audience. tweet at us, send us memes, send us articles, send us things that you want us to check out. And lastly, if you're not into video podcasts, we've got you covered with audio podcasts available to you on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So be sure to give us a 5-star rating after you've subscribed.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it. So for Brittany and for Amber, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.
Harry Potter, always.
Anything.
Until the